Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning Five here on Friday, September 24th, 2021. I am Dave Biddle. I am joined by Jonah Booker for his usual Friday visit. And unfortunately, my man, there's like really not much to talk about, right? Is there really anything going on in the Ohio State football world?
It's pretty quiet on the home front when it comes to Ohio State football. I mean, I don't think we'll have a lot to talk about today.
No, I mean, I guess other than the fact we could be seeing the start of the Kyle McCord era at quarterback, we'll see what happens. Or maybe this is as simple as just CJ Stroud's going to miss 1 week and he's going to get his job back. They're just trying to rest his shoulder. You know, Ryan Day's talked about that he had a similar situation when he was in college, when he was a quarterback, that he rested his shoulder a week, that it felt better. I don't know how it's going to work out, man, and they have not made this official yet, but from multiple sources, and Letterman Rowe was the first one to report this, but multiple sources have told Bucknuts it's going to be Kyle McCord starting the game tomorrow against Akron. What are your thoughts on this development?
I think someone decided to be an adult in the room and do the right thing, not only for CJ Stroud, but his football team. You're playing against Akron. Dave, you can go out there and hand the ball off to Trevion Henderson 25 times, and we would still win by 42 points. I think it's much needed to get him some rest. The last thing that you want to see, if he truly is your guy, is your quarterback going into Big Ten play with a lame duck arm. The last thing you want is to have your backup quarterbacks not having any type of real game time experience if something happens to CJ Stroud where his shoulder continues to get worse. So I applaud Ohio State. I think this is the right move. It's a multiple prong type of analysis here, because in one instance, you can look at it as Ryan Day is going to get a look at Kyle McCord. He's going to see what he has in him. And if for whatever reason Kyle McCord comes out and looks phenomenal, meaning that he has total command of the offense, passes aren't selling over wide open wide receiver's head, he's delivering strikes. Even though it's Akron, you can get a sense to say, hey, if something happens where CJ is not playing to his potential because of that shoulder, it gives him the opportunity and the reason to make that switch if it's needed without a full-blown controversy. But I had said on Sunday, Dave, that if Ohio State didn't rest CJ Stroud and he goes out against one of the worst teams in college football and he's air-mailing throws, they're going to single-handedly create a quarterback controversy within itself, because if he's looking bad against Akron, everybody's going to be calling for the next guys to step up. Now with him getting rest, I truly believe it's best for him, because it's been a lot of speculation out there that he really needed to sit down and rest, but he didn't want to because he was in such a heated quarterback derby and with the guys that are behind him, that he didn't want to relinquish his position. I know Dave Repston of the Big Ten Network, when they visited Ohio State in campus before the season even started, they said that he was pretty much on the pitch count where he threw maybe 2 or 3 balls while they were there. They were trying to rest his shoulders. So this is starting to be a longer term type of issue than what a lot of people really anticipated. It's not just this happened recently. To me, I think this is an injury that's been lingering for quite a bit of time.
It's such a weird week to have a new quarterback, to sit CJ out. I think it's a smart decision. But if you're CJ, you got to be thinking, man, I could go out there and throw left-handed and tear up Akron. Akron's horrible. Like, I think a lot of people, I've said this on the show earlier this week, a couple different times. I think a lot of people looked at the schedule. They knew the first 2 games could be tricky. Then they kind of bracketed Tulsa and Akron as, both those teams are terrible. Tulsa would blow Akron out of the water. Like, they're terrible. So, Kyle McCord's going to go out there tomorrow, J-Book, and he's going to tear it up. But, we're not really going to know anything. What are your thoughts on that? And what do you think is going to happen going forward? What's going to happen next week at Rutgers? Your thoughts on just McCord playing Akron tomorrow And what do you think is going to happen going forward with the quarterback position?
Come Sunday, Dave, you're going to be on social media and the message boards, and you're going to have a large segment of the fan base saying, see, I told you. And they're going to be calling for Kyle McCord to be the starting quarterback. Anybody can go out there against Rutgers and perform well. What I want to see is this a situation where
anybody can?
I'm sorry, right? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Usually it would be Rutgers, but maybe not now. Right. I mean, Schiano, not a good defensive coordinator, but is a good head coach. It's like the opposite of Chris Ash. He was a good defensive coordinator, horrible head coach at Rutgers. Schiano's a Jersey guy. No, but I knew what you meant. I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and both guys are. I think Kyle McCord and Jack Miller are both going to look impressive against Akron. And then you're going to have a large segment of the fan base that's going to be calling for McCord to be the starting quarterback. I see this playing out in one of two scenarios. One, either CJ Stroud is going to get healthy or healthier. That shoulder is going to start feeling much better. And he's going to come into that Rutgers game dialed in, knowing that he needs to play his butt off because he has a guy on Kyle McCord that is willing and ready to take his position. Or two, CJ Stroud's going to get the ball against Rutgers. He's going to press. He's going to be trying to be perfect, which no quarterback's going to be perfect, and that's going to cause his play to slip. We saw it with JT Barrett and Cardale Jones. Cardale Jones said after the national championship in 2015 that when they were doing the two quarterback system, he was pressing because he knew that JT was over there looking over his shoulder. And if he didn't make the plays and he didn't protect the football, make the throws to the wide open receivers, he knew at any moment he can get his number yanked. And I don't know if Ryan Day is going to go that route, but as a quarterback, looking over your shoulder is not necessarily a good thing. It can light a fire under you, and it's going to test CJ Stroud mental fortitude here. But when I say this is big boy college football, these are some of the things that I talk about because he needs to block that out, regardless of how well Kyle McCord and Jack Miller plays. If he's going to be the quarterback at Ohio State, he needs to come into Rutgers dialed in, lock and loaded, looking like he is the primetime quarterback that Ryan Day truly believes he is. So to me, I think you're going to get great play from the backups. After that, I truly believe it's going to be CJ's job against Rutgers. Now, if we go into a situation where the defense is getting gashed against Rutgers, the offense is starting slow, CJ's not putting up points from the board, the shoulder still looks like it's an issue, I can easily see at that point Ryan Day calling Kyle McCord into the game. And at that point, all bets are off. You have a full-fledged quarterback controversy.
Let's shift gears to the defense, Jay Book, and get into that. It's amazing that is not the main story right now. I mean, when you change quarterbacks, though, that's, of course, going to be the main story. But my goodness, defensive changes aplenty, personnel, coaching. I mean, coaching stands out the most, but there's been personnel changes. I love the fact that Cam Martinez is out there. He looks like a baller. I like these young guys, man. I don't like the fact that it seems like the best players on defense are true freshmen. Denzel Burke, Tyleek Williams, and redshirt freshmen. Cam Martinez out there balling out. I do think Cam Brown's playing well. I like the corners. I like what I'm seeing out of the corners. I need to see more out of the linebackers, but I do like Cody Simon there. Hopefully Taraja Mitchell can come back. EA Gatiote is playing a little bit more and playing better. Maybe there's some hope there at linebacker. We will see. Dallas Gann, of course, is transferred out of the program. He's in the portal. I want to get your thoughts on the defense overall. Start with Matt Barnes calling the defense. I don't know why he is on the field and not the box. Whatever. I've made a big deal about that all week. Your thoughts on Matt Barnes calling the defense, not Kerry Combs, and just your overall thoughts on the Silver Bullets.
Well, they did show some different looks against Tulsa that I did like. I did like the fact that they went to the double high safety instead of got it out of the single high safety. But to me, I still think the defense is schematically flawed. They still gave up 500 yards. You have a middle linebacker in Tommy Eichenberg who played 53 snaps with 0 tackles. I do not know how that is even possible. And then you have Bryson Shaw back there to play the most snaps on defense. So you still have a player personnel issue when guys aren't performing at a high level. I know James Laurinaitis on his show was talking about the middle linebackers, and he was pretty much flat out disgusted that you can have a linebacker that can play that many snaps and not even record a tackle. He would say that he would be ticked off and Luke Fickell will be on their butt if the linebackers didn't even record 4 or 5 tackles against a high-powered passing offense. So imagine, if what Luke would say if one of his linebackers didn't record any tackles. So to me, I think the defense is still a work in progress. As you mentioned, the freshmen, I like the way those younger guys are playing, and it's lighting a fire under their butt. I mean, you look at Tyleik Williams down there at the D tackle position. The guy plays hard. He's making plays. If you look at Taron Vincent, he played a limited amount of snaps there. And if you to believe what Larry Johnson said, when it comes to not being able to create a pass rush and guys winning one-on-one battles, he's saying that he's going to start putting in guys who can do it. And if that means that older guys have to come off the field, then so be it. And that's what you want to hear as Buckeye fans, because one of the glaring issues with this defense is the lack of pass rush, not being able to get to the quarterback. If the quarterback's being able to sit back there for 3 and 4 seconds and just pick and choose where he wants to go with the football, that's an issue. You're going to get exposed. But the linebackers, to me, are probably the biggest issue when it comes to the defense. And I was looking at Pro Football Focus ratings, and almost our entire linebacking room is ranked in the 300s, Dave. 300s when it comes to all Big Ten linebackers. Like, that's how bad they're playing, that you have typically the leaders of the Silver Bullets ranked in the 300s when it comes to their grades overall over the last 3 games when it comes to how they perform on the field. And to me, that's an indictment on Al Washington. He needs to figure out what he's doing with that position. I mean, you cannot have a middle linebacker out there blowing coverages, not reading his assignments, missing tackles, not recording any tackles. If anything, give me a younger guy who's going to go out there and play with his hair on fire and knock the snot out of somebody. If you're going to make a mistake, I'd rather for you to make a mistake, but at the same time having a high ceiling, elite athleticism to where you can cover up some of your mistakes with your play. If you're going to play a veteran guy, you're going to expect that guy to get the defense lined up. You're going to expect that guy to be able to make his run fits. He's going to be able to trigger and fill those lanes whenever it's spilled to him. And you're not seeing that from the linebacker position. I've talked to several of the former linebackers from Ohio State, and those guys just said they're having the current linebackers are having a major issue when it comes to reading and reacting. It's almost like their feet are stuck in mud. And that is on Al Washington, because if those guys don't have the capability to play fast, they're thinking too much, they're not reading their keys, basic assignments, that falls back on the linebacking coach. And I like Al Washington. I thought Al Washington, did a really solid job last year with those guys. I think he got the most out of Pete Werner. If you look back at Tuff Borland, he was limited athletically, but you didn't see Tuff making these mental mistakes that you see now. Even though Tuff was put in a lot of bad situations when it came to spreading him out and making him run sideline to sideline, that just was not his game. But I thought Al did a good job with those linebackers last year, but this year they are having major issues. And then, we finish up with the secondary. I like what I'm seeing out of those corners that you mentioned. They compete. There's times where I saw Cam Brown really getting his head around. Denzel Burke is a star. He's going to be a potential first-round corner. If they can get that safety position shored up there with Proctor out, then they have a chance. But it's a long way to go, Dave. Right now, I'm super skeptical that they're going to be able to get the ship righted, because the Big Ten, they smell blood. They smell blood when it comes to this defense. And if they don't figure out the guys that they need to play, I mean, you look at Tulsa, there was 28 guys on defense that played. We're not good enough to play 28 guys. You need to be playing your top 11 guys, let them get as many reps as possible, and then you rotate in some of those other guys. In the first quarter alone, Ohio State played 20 guys on defense. This defense, they're not good enough to continue to do hockey line changes, which I do not understand why they're doing that. You can scheme all you want to, but it's incredibly hard to have 28 guys understand where their fits are, understand what the defense is asking them to do. And I think that's one of the major problems that you're seeing from that side of the football. And I was listening to Rick Neuheisel today on College Football XM talking about Ohio State and the defense. And he was saying within the coaching circles, there's been a lot of talk that Ryan Day has reached outside to other former coaches that's kind of retired, sidelined, that's been watching the game closely, just getting advice on how to right the ship when it comes to this defense, including multiple conversations with Greg Madison. So if that's the case and Rick Neuheisel is correct, that tells me that Ryan Day is very concerned about his coaches getting the ship right. And for him to be able to have to step outside of his own coaching room is not a great indictment on where things are headed or where he believes this defense could be going once we get into the Big Ten season.
Fantastic insights, as always, from Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, J-Book. Thank you to all listeners out there for tuning into the show. We appreciate that very much. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you like the show, give us a 5-star review. That helps a lot. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. Thanks again to J-Book. Thanks again to all of the listeners out there. We appreciate that very much. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Have a great day and a great weekend, Bucknutters. Let's hear the Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.